Howdy, folks, and welcome to Retro Repair Roundup, where the points are fake and the questions don't matter. I don't know, or whatever that joke was. So this is episode number, I don't know, 33 or something. Apologies
for December 21st.
What? December 21st? Wait, what?
Yeah, well, you have
it is December. That's right, my hat.
Yeah.
I'm just being weird tonight. Also, this hat's insanely comfortable, so
Only tonight.
Wear it. Episode 33 tonight. Again, apologies for missing the previous Retro Repair Roundup. 50% of us were not feeling very well, so we decided to just take a week off. So that's what we did.
Which is ridiculous because Javier and I had just done a mountain of cocaine. We were ready. we were gonna do like type 5, more like type 50.
I don't know if you should mention Javier and cocaine in the same sentence.
There
are probably a lot of Javier.
I hear the DEA coming right now.
Anyway, tonight it was a completely random made-up thing that I decided to do to talk about the Apple III because I have a lot of cool Apple III news I want to talk about, and the Apple III doesn't get enough love. And we also have our wonderful guest, Will, CayMac Vintage, who has been doing a lot of Apple III work and has a lot of experience on pulling your hair. Fixing Apple IIIs. Also Kansas Fest this year, the annual Apple II convention at Rockhurst University in Kansas City, Missouri, is about the Apple III. We're doing an Apple III thing this year. So I figured we should talk about the Apple III a little bit this year. So before we get into tonight's subject, let's just run around the table and say hi to everybody. Again, I'm Joe Stroh-Snyder of Joe's Computer Museum. You know me. Trina!
Hi, I'm Trina of Trina's Technobabble. I'm going to be taking over the stream on the 18th.
Yes.
So make sure
of June.
June. Well, it's already the 21st of May.
Don't hop in your DeLorean trying to get back. That doesn't...
No? Okay. Yeah, so 18th of June, it's going to be an all-female cast. So we're getting rid of all these white cis men.
Oh, not me.
Sorry, guys. Well, okay, slightly.
Oh, thank God he's gone.
I know, right? We don't need the host.
We got rid of him.
And slightly tanned white cis guy. There you go. I'll include you, Javier. So make sure you tune in for that. We're going to have some really amazing guests.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Some of which have been announced and some of which are special secret and you won't know until you show up.
Exactly.
So you got to show up. You better do it. Mm-hmm. Will, how you doing this evening?
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Will, CayMac Vintage, coming to you from Cayman, where I live, on a small little island south of Cuba. But anyway, everything going well. I just came back from a 2 weeks vacation. I went to Curaçao, which is my actually home country. No, I already had the shirt. I didn't buy it there. I already had it. So anyway,
I just thought that it was you got that like at the at Union Station in Northern Illinois, and they just couldn't spell.
Outside
Chicago, everybody get like deep dish tacos. Come on.
Anyway, it's I'm just here fixing up my things, creating things, making some new things. And putting aside the Apple III now and then. I do need to finish fixing this Apple III Plus I have, but what a weird machine.
Yes. It is
you could probably say ass. I just said cocaine like 3 times.
Okay. Well,
the show is not made for kids.
We are demonetized as much as we can be demonetized.
Okay. So anyway, it's a weird machine. It's like what Joe says. It has a mind of its own, and sometimes you just need to drop it a couple times and just park it, put it away, and come back to it.
Literally.
Anyway, that's it for me. Ron, you go.
Oh, hi everyone. It's Ron from Ron's Computer Videos. Like I said earlier, I'm fully prepared today to be on the show. I've got Garth Beagle's hair. I've got my Ron's Computer Video shirt, and I've got my everything's broken garage Prince Albert, so I'm all set.
Okay, I'm not gonna ask about the Prince Albert.
And I have to say your shirt's looking a bit big on you.
I know
You're doing
this
well
is
with the weight loss.
it's a 4X. So the problem is I got like a long torso.
Right.
I mean, it's literally like 3 feet flaccid. So I have to. That's a really funny joke. Come on. Anyway,
We laugh a lot.
but I'm really long in the torso, so I've got to wear like bigger shirts anyway. Yeah. So,
But no, your weight loss is going well.
yeah, it's going really well. I'm in the 280s down from the 360s at like December of last year. So,
Nice.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yep. I owe it all to cocaine.
Javier, stop sending it to him.
And speaking of cocaine, Javier, where can people
Thank
find you?
Hi, I'm Javier from
As a guest of the state of Florida.
Advanced Retro Computing, and now I think I don't know, I distribute. I thought it was
Wait,
Retro
whoa!
Five, but I sent it away. No, nothing. And that's a very good point. Please, guys, exercise a lot. It's good for you.
Mm-hmm. It is good for you.
So welcome.
Cool. Awesome sauce. Well, tonight's been that's been great. The Apple III sucks. The show is over. No,
and thanks for coming out, everyone.
No, but seriously, I wanted to take the time tonight to educate the masses on the Apple III, a little bit of history about the Apple III, and also to tell you to read the Wikipedia article on Apple III, and anything that seems far-fetched probably is, because the reality is somewhere in the middle of what that is talking about there. Long story short, for those who don't know, the Apple III was designed to be the successor to the Apple II. It was designed to be a business-first machine, and it had a feature set that was heavily designed around that. The problem about the Apple III, as Steve Wozniak put it, the Apple III was designed by the marketing department and engineered around a specification. Things, for example, the case design of the Apple III was set in stone pretty much at day one. And the engineers had to find a way to fit the feature set that marketing or whoever, executives, I don't know, who decided to put into this thing. And
morons.
Yeah, there you go.
Basically.
And that's the primary cause of the general issues with the Apple III. For those who don't know about the Apple III, it is a reliability nightmare. No
fans. It was like the top. It was like the top of the list of requirements.
No fan in a metal case.
Fully metal case.
And no vents. No vents or nothing.
No vents, no air convection, nothing. The very first version of the Apple III used a 12-volt RAM board. This 12-volt RAM board was basically a space heater, combined with a lot of the other chips inside this machine. A lot of bipolar ROM chips that were used as basically state machine logic, all of the RAM chips, the fact that there was a huge 5-watt resistor on it for no reason but other than to generate heat. The thing obviously had heat related issues.
Yeah,
there were also production issues. Yeah, right there, he's pointing at it right there. Gigantic resistor on the 5-volt version of the board that didn't solve any of the heat problems because they just took the heat out of the chips and put it into this resistor. Lots of issues like that. Lots of production issues, again, because they designed it in like a year or something. It was a very, very tight design schedule. And so they just threw it together without any design qualification or verification, very little quality assurance. They're like, we need to kick this out the door because the IBM PC was coming out soon and they wanted to try to beat them at their own game. And it culminated in a lot of issues.
Joe, how did that work out for anybody that wasn't IBM?
Hold on. It worked out very poorly.
I've got notes here. Poorly.
Yes. Yes. Like they always said, nobody was ever fired for buying an IBM. But I guarantee you, if you bought an Apple III, you were sent straight to the bottom of Lake Mead.
Yeah.
So yeah, people were reporting their machines, after being on for an hour or two, straight out of the box, would go to garbled screens. They would remove their floppy disk from the floppy drives, and the disk would be warped and messed up because of the heat on the inside. Mm-hmm. Now, the first 14,000 of the Apple IIIs were so poorly designed. They had so many issues that it was a full-scale recall. All of 14,000 of the original ones were brought back. Not to say that all 14,000 of them actually got back to Apple, but Apple replaced them all, you know. After they replaced them, they then came out with the Apple III Plus, which was a much better machine. The Apple III Plus was much more reliable. But basically, it was just a reliability change. There wasn't a lot of changes at the Apple III Plus.
Yeah.
That kind of reputation is what really killed the Apple III.
Plus, it's not compatible with anything.
The compatibility was an issue too. It had the ability to run in Apple II emulation mode, where you booted to a special disk, then booted to your Apple II disk in order to try to take advantage of previous software. So you didn't have.
Wasn't it limited to basically being like a 2 Plus or something like?
It was an Apple II Plus with 48K RAM.
48. Wow. Yeah.
Yep. So you didn't even have the full 64. You couldn't do any of the special fancy stuff. It wouldn't run ProDOS at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So because it didn't have the extra RAM, and it just wouldn't do it. It even got to the point where like people made huge expensive cards like these called the Titan board set to force it to have all of the feature sets. It started with, I believe it was this board here, which had its own RAM on it. It has its own 64K of RAM over here. Right?
Yeah,
to make it a full Apple II Plus with all of the Apple II Plus features. And then they came along with this later. They gave it the Apple IIe feature set. This is what you had to do. You had to add $250 extra hardware to your machine that was already, $900 more expensive than the Apple II to make it an Apple II. Like, this is the craziness you had to get to.
If only somebody was going to, basically analyze and then clone those boards.
Yeah,
what a service to the community that might be.
It's amazing.
That would be,
it's amazing that if somebody would do that and
look how thin those boards are, Joe. I bet you they're only 2 layers.
They are only 2 layers.
Wow,
exactly.
That seems like a real design challenge.
No, it was really, really hard to clone those and make those happen. Whoever did that, it was really difficult. I don't know who did that.
Genius.
I'm told that at some point in the future you'll be able to go to this website and get those.
Sweet.
Wasn't that actually Garth Beagle design? No.
Most likely.
It's all Garth's fault.
Under the bus.
No. But
the other thing with the 3 is that it used this funky RAM.
Yeah, the 12 volt. Here, I can make you big doodles. Come on, computer, do the thing. There you go.
Use these.
Yes.
Sorry, the focus is not
they're
good.
They're 4132s, which is effectively 2 4116 dies with 2 separate address selects.
Yeah, because they've got an extra pin. They've got 2 extra pins compared to the other chips that are on the board. So
it's got a RAS and CAS line for the 2 separate.
Mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so you can take me off a big.
Yeah. And that made it weird. And so when they were having sourcing problems and all the issues, and that's only on the 12 volt RAM board, the very early ones. They eventually switched to the 5 volt RAM board, which is this, which takes standard 4164s. And of course, it has this gigantic heat generator up here, this huge heating element to make sure that it keeps its required amount of heat. That's a joke. So yeah, it was just insanity. All that said, despite the bad reputation it had, if you had like an Apple III Plus or a later Apple III, they were actually relatively reliable. They weren't too bad, because they fixed a lot of the low-level problems with the design of the board, the way it was laid out, traces, manufacturing processes, and stuff like that. But they still weren't great because they generated tons and tons of heat.
Look, Javier has a laptop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look at that.
very, very light.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that I'm gonna have a.
I was gonna say
He's gonna have a hernia now.
I've seen people
Are,
in the
are you gonna
80s
have to like have the doctor, put on the glove and check you out after that?
No, I'm good.
Hold on, let me go grab my gloves from work.
Oh wow. So yeah, Apple III craziness.
Oh,
Maybe it's hell.
so if I can interrupt for a sec, the reason I went blank. So I got this book, which talks about the history of Apple gaming, but there is I had to go back and reread. Apple released the Apple III in May 1980, hoping to court business users with a more sophisticated underlying software and hardware architecture, such as a numeric keypad. It was a disaster. Fewer than 100,000 Apple IIIs were sold in the machine's 4-year lifespan.
Yes.
Sounds right.
That's dumb. It is so stupid.
Yeah, it was a very dumb computer.
At least they didn't go to the landfill like the Lisas.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need to keep me big. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my stream.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that said, we need to talk about the hardware itself because in 1980, it was actually quite sophisticated. It had a 1.8 megahertz 6502 processor, so it was, about 1.5 times faster than an Apple II at a normal clip, which was really good. It was called 1.8 megahertz. In reality, depending on the operating mode, it would run at 1 megahertz when it was talking to peripheral logic, and 2 megahertz when it was just doing actual processing. So it could, when you're doing a heavy calculation, it could run, twice as fast as the Apple II at the calculation. So, that was your business feature. It had built-in RGB video. And Apple even ended up designing oh man, my brain reset there for a second. A video card or video monitor that would connect right up to that. It had your standard bleep and bloop speaker, which was cool, but it also had a full DAC or a digital to audio conversion, in which you could play wave samples, actual sound samples on the Apple II or on the Apple III. If you
Apple IV final offer.
Yeah, the Apple VI. So it had wavetable capabilities, so you could do some pretty fancy stuff. The graphics capabilities on the Apple III blow the Apple II out of the water. Full 16 colors in all possible modes. It had hardware scrolling, at least horizontal vertical scrolling. So you could scroll the entire screen up 1 pixel at a time with a register change, and it would go boop, and it would do that. So you could do scrolling games and stuff like that if you were into games, but it was really designed for page layout stuff. Full 80 column text. And when you combine those with that RGB output, super schmick capabilities there. Excuse me. It also had built-in memory management to some extent with some really cool memory access modes. Supported up to 256K right out of the box with, the big chonkin board that you would put in the machine. Not this one. This is something I want to talk about later. And it had all these it had this really funky data bus. Like it had a 3-way data bus where it could be writing to one set of RAM and reading from 2 other banks of RAM all simultaneously. It was really, really sophisticated for its time. There really weren't a lot of other computers that had its capability set at that time that were, your desktop oriented PC. So it had that promise of being really, really awesome. If it had launched without the hardware glitches, if Apple had waited 6 months and ironed out a lot of that work, ironed out a lot of those issues, I think it would have done a lot better in the market. Yeah.
I think it's important that people that maybe are not familiar with the timeline on all of this need to also keep in mind that the best Apple II you could get when the Apple III was released was the the 2 Plus.
Yeah.
So again, 48K of RAM, and Joe touched on that earlier, where it was like, you know, like these were the specs and they were very low compared to a lot of Apple II machines that came later. So like the Apple III was released in like 1981.
80.
1980.
Okay, so 1980, and the 2E wasn't released until like 83. So I mean, there's a big gap there between where this was the next generation. This is what we're trying to do, and then Apple released like the same year the Apple IIe and the Lisa. So it was like, and then that's the same year they released the 3 Plus. So it was like they had that couple of years of revisions and recalls and stock drop and all that type of stuff, and then came out with that. So I'm thinking it's important for people to realize, just sort of in the timeline, it's and I think the price scared people off too. If they just made it $666, come on.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, the whole thing is, I think you talk to a lot of people and they're like, that are just kind of new. And they're like, oh, well, I mean, why would they release this after like the 2GS or the 2E or the enhanced 2E or the 2C or 2C Plus? And I mean, those seem like much more capable and newer machines. And it's like, because they didn't.
Yeah. And, you know, when you're looking at price, when you look at the capabilities of the machine and the fact that, you know, custom hardware chips really didn't exist too much yet, you had the gals, but they couldn't really do too much complex logic. Look at all those chips. Look at that.
No.
Look at how much hardware is in this machine. And so you can understand why the price was there. And then, you know, Apple did back then what they still do today. They price based on concept, on perceived value, not what it actually costs to do a thing. So yes, there was a lot of hardware in this machine. It had this, you know, molded aluminum case, you know, it's a forged aluminum case, whatever you want to call it, sand forged or whatever. And so it had all of this expense behind it to try to like this is a professional machine. But when you looked at its feature set compared to the Apple II and what Apple's primary market was at that time, end users, hobbyists, schools. They didn't want to spend the equivalent in today's dollars of $25,000 on a computer when they could spend today's equivalent of $4,000 on a computer. Right? So it just didn't make a lot of sense. Again, I think one of the big things too is the marketing wasn't there. They named it the Apple III. They gave it an Apple II compatibility mode. So it would run Apple II stuff. But the Apple II compatibility mode in this thing is ass. Like even though it says it'll do things, like it won't run half the games out there. It fails a lot of software, copy protected software, because of the timing of the disk controller is not quite exact. Lots of weird issues there. Now their target was the business market too. When you think about that, like, okay, so we want this to be the progression of the line of the Apple II, but we're going after the business market, and that's great. That's awesome. But this is a machine that was targeted at the target market was Apple employees. It's actually funny, like 4,000 of the 100,000 they sold were just used internally at Apple. Yeah. This machine had no infrastructure behind it. It's not like it's the Apple II that had been out since, 77 and had all of that success. There was nothing, like there's no software to run on it, basically. So you get this computer, but like there's 5 titles, and then you've got the compatibility mode that doesn't work right.
I don't know what happened to my light.
So the business applications that were out there for the Apple II, you could run them on an Apple III, but it's just an Apple II program. Why would I buy this more expensive machine when I can just run this, and there's not a newer version of the application that supports these fancy new features of this machine?
I think that it's a testament to, like you were saying earlier, where it's like marketing was like, well, we've got to address this need. Was anybody asking for this? where customers saying, sorry, we've got to have whatever this new thing that IBM is coming out with. No. It's one of those things where it was like a product in search of a market rather than customers demanding a product. And it is just so short-sighted, and it shows kind of where Apple was going as a company at the time, where it was, you had a lot of like, who is I cannot remember who was CEO at the time, but
I don't remember.
It's basically when you get people that are just CEOs that are not like, technology people, because that's happened to Apple a few times, where it was like with John Scully, where it was like he was just a successful CEO who came from Pepsi, Emilio, where it's just like people that came in that were just like, I'm an organizer, I don't really understand technology, that's for you guys to understand. But it was like, we've got to figure out a way to like grow our market. But how do we do that? Maybe stick to core competencies. What do we do well? Keep doing that.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's kind of, and if we can kind of diverge off a little bit, but stay on topic.
Sure.
It's kind of what they're doing now. So Apple, I was reading an article where Apple had 34% sales drop over the last quarter. So now they're testing the G3 or G3. Yeah, listen to me. The new Power Mac G3 processor. Woo!
Yeah, I want
one. They're now in the process of testing the M3. And this was an article I found on Reddit, and a lot of people were coming back going, I don't want it. I don't need it. I have an M1 or I have an M2.
Right.
I'm more than happy. It does more than what I want.
Right.
Like, why are you coming up with a product I don't need?
Well, I'm a part of that is sour grapes, because anytime you buy something, when that new model comes out or they make an announcement or something like that, people immediately are like, oh my gosh, like if I'd have just waited 6 more months, I could have had the new shiny. I always worry about, like, it's like, how many of those people are those sour grapes people, and how many of those people are just like, I don't want to see you move on too quickly because I don't want to lose support of my things. Because Apple does have a long history of, you buy a machine, you get like a good solid 7 years of operating system support.
Yep.
So, but Intel is not standing still. AMD is not standing still. These other emergent people, China is not standing still with all of these processors and things like that they're developing, especially stuff in the ARM.
Intel
it's literally an arms race right now.
Intel just announced that they're going to be stripping all of the legacy support from the x86 architecture. All of the stuff where it starts in 8086 mode and boots all the way up to 64-bit, all of those old addressing modes and rings, they're dropping all of that. So if they're going to be doing that to try to make themselves
good luck, Itanium.
Yeah, there you go.
They've tried that once before. I mean, if you get, and the big thing was this, it was operating system support and application support. We're at the point in the game. It's very much like when Apple made that switch from 68,000 to PowerPC. At least there was some backward compatibility mode. They had some really smart people at Apple that it was somebody that they hired on specifically because they had written this kind of in their spare time almost. PowerPC emulator, or I'm sorry, a 68K emulator for PowerPC to bring that stuff over. And then they kind of had Rosetta and all these other things for PowerPC code on Intel and all this. So you're dragging all that stuff behind you. But then they were like, we'll make some universal binary kind of stuff, and then we're eventually going to depreciate that. Like we saw that happen with 32-bit, like completely dropping support for 32-bit applications. I mean, that's that hasn't happened yet on Windows, like the Windows side of things, unless you are specifically running ARM. You might be locked into 64-bit only, depending, I think. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it to me it didn't sound like people were having sour grapes. Or just like, I have an M1, I have an M2. It does what I need. I don't want another processor. I want something more innovative coming out of Apple than just going here for the process.
To some extent, because I got an M1 MacBook Pro when it came out, and the thing just flies. It's just
great.
first gen M1 and it just crushes.
Yep.
I mean, it gets out of my way and it works. So I can understand that, especially for a lot of folks who are just sitting there, using it as a consumption device or to check their email or to do basic tasks. I mean, the M1 is a high-end professional processor that you gave to your grandma to send chainmail, right?
Sure.
So I can understand that.
Agree.
But it's kind of one of those things though too, that they've got to make these other innovations. Be it like, it's not just like, it's the M3, it's 20% faster. They're building like better GPUs they're building in better options. There might be additional architecture and how that stuff scales to allow for some stuff that right now you can't do, which is external GPUs. That's pretty important to a lot of people.
It's not innovative, really. It's just adding things to something that already exists.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's an innovation on this platform that does not support external GPUs. To add external GPU support, open up like PCI Express bus and things like that for add-on cards and all kinds of stuff.
About that,
Not everybody might care. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe those people are wrong.
And I kind of feel that that's way more than I would ever use.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings us back to the Apple III to some extent. Is like, where's the innovation?
Yeah.
Right.
You can play. It has horizontal, or it's got vertical graphics scrolling.
What for?
And when you think about it too, like in the Apple III, like where they're like, it's got these cool features and it really is a sophisticated, really nifty machine. But even when it comes to that business market, it's like, okay, so the screen scrolls.
Where's this?
We can still do that with old compute. Like, why is that special? It can play wave files effectively. It can play, playback samples. And again, right. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Apple III hardware too, because that is a big thing this year with Kansas Fest, and talking about what the Apple III is, what it can do, and all of that. Javier, do you have a special relationship with your Apple III?
I can see what the Apple III can do that most modern computers can't. Stand upside down.
Yeah.
You can put it upside down. It still doesn't work.
Yeah, like it's gonna work equally poorly in that.
It's still useless.
Gravity, no effect whatsoever. Unless you do the 3-inch drop.
The rodents inside, no effect. It makes it work.
Inside. Yeah. So let's talk about the Apple III, and let's talk about acquiring an Apple III. What you can expect, what you can expect to pay, why you would even want to get an Apple III. For most of us in the retro community, we would want to get an Apple III to just have one. It's that weird. It's kind of like a Lisa. Like it's the redheaded stepchild that nobody had. That's hard to find, but it's still neat. It's just they're like potatoes. I just think they're neat, right?
They're neat. All 12 things you can do on the Lisa.
Yes, all 12 things. Turn it on.
And all 12 things. It's the same. All 12 things you can do with a potato, all 12 things you can do with an Apple III.
Yes.
You can mash them, fry them.
They get hot, and they steam, and they cook.
12.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you can drink it as vodka after. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So the Apple III, the big thing is finding an Apple III and finding one that works well enough that if you're not of the repair yourself ilk, that you can get it to run. That's the trick. Finding one, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars minimum.
Or one for free at Kansas Fest last year.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can expect to probably pay about $500 for a working unit. Whereas your Mac Classic, you're gonna be like $30. So you can kind of get an idea of the expense of it, mostly because of it's they're not rare. They're just there's not many of them, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like they're like stamps with the airplane upside down.
Well, as I mentioned from the book, only 100,000 sold in 4 years.
Right.
How many of those are still
alive
around today? No, not even alive, but still around. Period.
True.
Weren't sent to recycle or whatever.
You got 2.
2? You sure about that?
Well, okay.
A minimum of 2.
I have 2 full units. I also have 3 spare boards laying around now.
Damn.
I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So you can expect to pay quite a bit for a non-working one, especially if it's just the board. $30. I picked one up for about $45 just last week, untested. The memory pins were all mangled together. I just put the memory pins back, shoved the memory board on it, and it worked just fine. So you can find deals out there if you know what you're looking for.
But also the weight makes it difficult to ship.
That's the other thing too. So if you just want the experience of playing with an Apple III, but don't want all the craziness, look for an Apple III board and keyboard separately. You're going to be able to find that, especially if it's an Apple III that's called untested. I'm big in air quotes today, because that combination, it's going to weigh less, it's going to ship cheaper, and you're more likely to get a working set of units without having to ship 85 pounds of aluminum,
right,
with a drive that's essentially an Apple II floppy drive. Like, there's nothing fancy or special there, and you can get that experience of playing with it without having the whole unit. But if you want the whole unit, you're gonna have to pay a lot in just the shipping alone. Expect it to not work though. They have a high degree of failure. Most of because of their heat problems. They get chip creep, expansion, contraction, all that stuff. The chips kind of pop out of their sockets. You need to press all the chips down in to make sure it's working correctly, and then you'll usually be good to go. Sometimes though, you're gonna have lots of problems. The RAM fails on them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Power supplies. You're always going to have your reefa cap problem. So if you're familiar with the whole reefa cap explosion process, open that up, take the reefas out, and either replace them, or if it's the 2 inline filters at the very beginning, you can just pull them out and leave them out, and that'll resolve that issue for you. You can also replace it with an aftermarket power supply, like the Reactive Micro Universal Power Supply. I have one that I use for diagnostic purposes, that I have a plug that plugs into my Apple II, my 2GS, my 3, my LC, my LC2, all of that stuff. Nice. So those are really cool. So you want to, and then here's a recap supply that he's showing here, and he's going to point at the reefas. And then there's your Reactive Micro Universal Replacement Supply. So
I honestly had replaced mine with Reactive. Yeah, go ahead.
And then you've got another reefer back here.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got a big one here and another one here. Then
tell me how I know.
Yeah,
ask me.
But I bought my cap kit from jcm-1.com because he's the only one that has them. And it worked out great. And then
I'm the only one who cares about the Apple III.
I also ended up getting the Reactive Micro Universal Power Supply, which works great. So
they're currently making the Reactive Power Supply? Reactive Micro, whatever
power supply that.
Yep.
This one can be used in the 2, in the 3. So
it's almost just the actual supply unit itself, separate from that carrier board, is a generic Meanwell style board that does plus and minus 5 volts and plus and minus 12 volts.
Mm-hmm.
So it runs just about anything. You can that header on there, you can wire up your own header and plug it into just about any machine of that era. It'll probably even run like an IBM. Like it'll do just about anything.
Yeah, because this piece is separate from this bottom board. So this is the bottom board that you would have to cut or adjust to fit, depending what machine that you're using, and then this just attaches to it.
So you just get the board, and you can customize it to what you want, and it just fits into the power supply case that you already have.
Yep.
Is that okay?
All right. This bottom board is what you would have to snap off certain pieces and that.
Right. Okay.
And then this
so
is power supply, which is universal.
Yeah.
And it can work in either one of them.
Cool.
And so that bottom carrier board, you can kind of see on the right hand side, it's got little snap offs. You can snap it off and shape it to the different sizes of the different Apple II, Apple III power supplies, and then you just mount the actual electronic unit onto that and do the thing. So
so a very good buy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just neat. So yeah, I suggest those, especially if you're going to be running your Apple III with more than just the defaults. If you're going to be adding a lot of cards, like these wonderful cards right here, you're going to want to add the extra power supply capability in it. The supply in that is notoriously not that great. Yeah. So that's also an issue there. Some of the problems that you're going to have with the Apple III out of the box when you get it. Number one, almost universally, the inside of it will have been made a rat or mouse nest at some point in its life. Yeah. Because what happens is there are no vents in this machine, but the rear panel slots for the cards are perfectly sized for a mouse to get in there and make a home inside that machine. And like many of these old machines, they got used for 6 months, got replaced with a Macintosh, and got shoved in a corner somewhere. So mice like to get in there and make little homes. That board that I showed earlier, it's back there. Yeah, it's all moused up. It needs to be run through the ultrasonic cleaner. So that's one thing you're definitely going to need to do is check for that and clean that out. Of course, that in and of itself gives you a whole bunch of problems because the rodent nasties eat through things, including board bits. So that is a huge problem you need to worry about.
Yeah.
Parts that fail very frequently on the Apple III. RAM, always, like I said. If you're lucky and you've got a machine with the 5-volt RAM board, getting replacement RAM for it is relatively easy right now. Still, you can still find the 4164 chips at Jameco, UT Source, and a lot of other reputable places. You can also find them at disreputable places like eBay for cheap enough. You can get little cheap RAM testers or build your own little RAM tester for testing that RAM, or you can just buy all of it and just replace all of it.
Hey, Ryan from Everything is Broken Garage asks a really great question in chat, which is why are there so many more Apple III displays than it seems to be Apple IIIs? And it was because Apple just had a warehouse full of them, and they're just composite inputs. So Apple just turned around and sold them for the Apple II computers. But there is a special little stand because the Apple II is slightly more narrow than the Apple III monitor. So there is a special little stand that you can get that is actually more rare. That's probably the rarest kind of Apple III related thing to find is that monitor stand. But that's why why throw them out?
Apple didn't make a dedicated monitor for anything but the Apple III prior to that point, and they're like, well, let's just start selling them. And then eventually, when those ran out, they started marketing the standard monochrome green screen Apple II monitor with the tilt screen on it. So yeah. What else fails on the Apple III a lot? Yes, this is a big thing. So the keyboard encoder in the Apple III is notoriously bad. It's very much the same keyboard encoder that is in the Apple II, but for some reason the Apple III version of it was, I don't know, pureed diarrhea. I don't know. They fail a lot. They'll fail either completely dead, or you'll get the wrong keys when you press keys, or it'll just keep repeating the same key over and over again, or anything like that. So that's the thing to watch out for. The 3 or 4 chips, if you're looking at it on the screen here, I can show you his screen. These 3 or 4 chips right above I'm pointing at the screen with my mouse cursor, like you can see. Yes, those few chips right in that row just above the keyboard are involved in the keyboard latching data to latch data out of the keyboard encoder into the system bus. Those can also be a problem. I have seen that specifically. So don't always assume that your keyboard encoder that he's pointing at right there is going to be the problem. The upside is that you can buy replacement keyboard encoders for the Apple III. We won't talk about where right off the top of my head right now, but there is a place you can go and get little replacement keyboard encoders. They look something like this, and they work in every Apple III.
And do they just plug in where the chip is?
Okay. It just plugs boop, straight into the same socket in the same spot.
Sweet.
It has little jumpers that you put on here to tell the encoder that it is in Apple III mode, and it just works. Yep, the Apple III has literally no idea that it's not an original encoder. So that is a cool thing. So if you got an Apple III and that's not working, there is a solution for you at this wonderful website on your screen right now. I'm really not trying to make this an advertising stream, I promise. It's just that I'm the only guy that makes the Apple III crap. So that's just kind of the way it is.
So there's a plug for your website. Need Apple III crap? Visit. Flash it up on the screen. Beep. There you go.
Joe, quality crap for your Apple III crap. But yeah, other things that fail a lot. Usually, you're not going to have major problems beyond that unless you've had a rodent problem. Reseating the chips and cleaning up the board is usually going to get you all the way. That RAM keyboard encoder. If you do have problems after that, oh boy, good freaking luck.
Go to your closest church.
Yeah, they are insanely difficult to diagnose. I don't know why. I have never had more problems diagnosing a board than an Apple III board. Apple IIs are super easy. The 2C is a piece of cake. The 2GS is moderate. I have an Apple III here that I spent 3 months trying to figure out. I replaced every chip on this board. Reflowed at least 10 sockets. Replaced at least 4 sockets. This board still doesn't work.
Not with that attitude.
Huh?
Not with that attitude.
Not with that attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
It just, it can be a picky process. However, if you go out and look at the Apple III Level 2 Service Manual, it's a PDF. It's on archive.org. I don't have the link handy. That has a wonderful step-by-step flow tree, or what's that? Flowchart. That's the term. That asks you questions and gives you answers as to what to check. It's like, what happens at this stage? This. What happens at this stage? Oh, that's happening. Check these chips in these 6 locations.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really good way of diagnosing those problems. In most cases, when you have a problem, you're just going to have a blown chip. Again, because the machine gets hot, it gets funky. The power supplies have weird problems. It likes to eat chips. So it's going to be a factor of identifying and replacing those chips. Now, I'm not going to go into a huge detailed process of teaching you how to diagnose low-level TTL logic, but that is a thing that you're going to have to do and be aware of when you're working on the Apple IIIs. If you want an Apple III and it's broken and you can't figure it out, you can reach out to somebody in the community who knows more about such things. A CayMac is a wonderful resource. Will is a huge resource in doing the Apple III repairs. He is really, really good at it. I'm kind of middling and middle of the road, mostly because I've worked on 3 boards, and one of them, so I have a 66% success rate, because this one down here needs to be, I don't know, burned in a fire. It needs to go away. But yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, are you just going to replace the customer's board with that working one?
I already did.
Oh, okay.
So I was talking a little bit earlier about a board I found for like $45 or $50 or something like that, right, plus shipping. The reason is because this board had weird problems when he sent it to me, and I had it almost working. I made a couple changes, and then I plugged the power socket in 1 pin off and destroyed the board. I killed it. I don't know how. And then I spent like 4 weeks trying to figure it out after that. So in that guy's case, I then spent another month and a half just
you had a case of
on eBay on a daily basis. Huh? What's that?
You burned it. You had a case of
I did a Javier. Yeah. But I bought him a replacement board. It was a board that was untested, doesn't know if it works. It was the one with all the pins that were only like that. Yeah. He straightened the pins, put his RAM board on it, and it worked perfectly fine. I'm like, you have a board, done. Here you go. So then I can now spend, instead of having the customer wait for months and months and months and months and months and months for me to fix this, I can take my time trying to figure out what the heck is wrong with this.
So it can sit in your basement for years and years and years and years, and you'll never touch it. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I have a lot of Apple III projects going on right now, so I got reasons to look at it.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's kind of my spiel about the Apple III tonight and what I wanted to talk about. Other than a lot of the cool stuff coming up for the Apple III in the next couple of months. Did anybody want to chime in? Because I feel like this has been a monologue with friends tonight.
No, well, you're the one that knows more of the ins and outs of it and what you're making. So,
yeah,
I learned from you, Joe. So that's how. I mean, I'm patient and I watch and I go back and actually experiment off screen, and that's how I learned it. So, but yeah, it's.
I learned from watching you, Dad.
I was gonna say you say that, Will, and I was minding my own business in my room one day, and Joe came in with an Apple III, and he's like, "Where did you get this stuff? Where did you learn to do this stuff?" I was like, "I learned it by watching you, Dad. I learned it by watching you."
Yeah, well, it's a finicky machine, boy, I tell you. But I mean, the actually schematic, even though in some places it is hard to read,
yeah,
it's there. Everything is there.
The schematics, If you have an Apple III Plus, there's no schematic that I found for that, but it is electronic. It is electrically identical to the Apple III. Well, it's just laid out slightly different.
Yeah, so. that's the thing with the board I was fixing that I had for actually someone, and it was an Apple III Plus. So
you almost have to like look at the chip designations on the 3 Plus and kind of like figure out, well, this is probably this chip on the schematic, but
so but it's just LS chips. I mean, it's LS with some custom ROMs here and there. That's
LS
it.
Custom ROMs has got a couple of S series.
Yeah, not much else. I mean, and if you know what those do and you can follow the schematic, I mean, it is readable. It's you can kind of figure it out, but yeah, I mean, what is hard are these custom chips, like these 4 down here. You got 3 right here, then you got these 2. So those are the custom ones, and that's something new Joe is working on, and so I'll let him, if he wants to explain it yet.
Hi, everybody. Buy crap for me. No. So the big thing with the Apple III is not only that they're expensive to find, it's that they're hard to find, and there's not a lot of interest in them. And I want to change that. I want the Apple III to be something people want to play with again. Maybe have a second resurgence like the Naboo did. And do some really fancy stuff, because it really can do some cool stuff. But the issue is that nobody wants to mess with it because they're too unreliable, they're too hard to find, and they're too expensive to get. Yeah. And you fix that at the base. You start with the hardware and you make the hardware better, right? Step 1 of making the hardware better is finding reliable replacements for the stuff that's not common off-the-shelf stuff. So I already talked about the keyboard encoder. That was I owe like jcm-1.com. I owe this website to the Apple III, because the keyboard encoder was the first reverse engineered PCB like electronic thing that I programmed, designed, and did myself from the ground up, because I got an Apple III with a bad keyboard encoder and I wasn't having it. My Apple III is going to work, gosh darn it, and I made it work, right? And I want to spread that passion out into the world.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about our Lord and Savior, the Apple III. No, I want this machine to be usable and reliable, so that maybe we'll, I don't know, get software developers who want to start playing around with it and do demos and games and stuff on this old machine again, and revive this old platform. Because the worst thing that can happen to an old platform is it gets forgotten. It gets forgotten, it goes away, and it's gone forever. And I want to stop that. So replacing the keyboard encoder, which fails a lot, is a big thing. Henry Corbis of Reactive Micro is already doing the power supply replacement. That's cool. If you don't want to do the power supply replacement, you want a less expensive option. I have the hold on, I'm fetching it. Apple III power supply kit. Yeah, I got them in bulk. So if you want to recap your power supply, I have all the capacitors required in order to do that.
I need to get one more of those, and I forgot when I just did my order.
Did you ship out his order though?
What's that?
Did you ship out his order?
No,
it's already packed. It's sitting over there. It hasn't gone out yet.
Well, you could unpack it, and Will could order it after the stream.
Yeah.
Just saying. Yeah.
All right, I might do that.
Yep.
Because I still got one more power supply that I need to recap my own. So, but anyway, okay, go on, Joe.
Somebody want to take note of those questions from 1-Bit Fever Dreams real quick, so we don't forget them, because those are good questions. So other things that are hard to replace in the Apple III are all those custom chips. Again, all of the stuff in the machine is plain logic. Even the in the upper left corner of the board there is a 6551. That is the serial communications chip for the serial ports. And there are two chips below that, the next two. Those are the 6522 VIA chips that are used for I/O logic and some bank switching and a couple of the extra special features. One of them also does the audio processing for the WAV file audio processing. And then the third one below that is the 6522. All of those, or the 6502. All of those chips you can still get. You can get modern replacements that just go in the socket. The 6502 is a little bit different. You have to do a small modification to it, but you can just throw it in there, right? Yeah. The majority of the rest of those chips are just plain logic, but right there by his left, right there under his thumb, those four chips right there are custom 256 memory location by 4-bit. They're 256 by 4-bit bipolar ROM chips that are pre-programmed in the factory and shipped out. And there are a couple more on the board up in the F row that are a couple more rows up.
And then you've got 3 more.
Yep. And then you've got the two video ROM. You got the video ROM, the ROM under your thumb. I don't remember what that does exactly. I think it has to do with IO banking. That one right there is the video. Yeah. And then down by the CPU is the BIOS ROM. Those are all 2332 chips with a funky pinout that you can't get a drop-in replacement for. You can get chips that have the same amount of space in them, and you can program them with the ROM files, but you have to like convert those. Yeah. You know, you might have to get a little device to convert those. And then up by the floppy drive, of course, is the P6 ROM, which is the WAS state ROM, right? And so I've taken this kind of spring to develop replacement chips for all those. So now if any of your 2332 any of those fail, I have a drop-in direct replacement that you just put in the socket and it works. Pre-programmed with the ROM, with the code on it, you need to do it. If any of those tiny little bipolar ROMs fail, I have a replacement for those now.
You can do them all now? You can do all of them?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you can do...
The only one I don't have a replacement for is the state ROM for the floppy, because that almost never fails, because it's what was designed, and that for some reason that part of the circuit works great. The floppy drive part of the circuit usually never fails because somebody intelligent designed it. Yep, it's basically just a clone of the slot 6 card. As a matter of fact, it is presented in the same memory location at C600 in the memory space. It operates exactly the same. So anyway, so replacement chips. Yep, for all of those things. The other thing too is the RAM board. So say you have a 12-volt RAM machine, and you want a more reliable solution, right? One thing you could do is steal a 5-volt RAM board from a 5-volt machine, but then you're stealing it from another machine. That's not the point. So I'm working on developing a replacement RAM board that can upgrade your 12 volts to 5 volts and your 5 volts to a better thing. And it uses static RAM, which generates almost no heat and is way more reliable. And, you can just throw this over your shoulder and it'll still work.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't care. Like, it's just not that sensitive to static compared to the dynamic RAM chips. Not that this board is working right now. This is literally the first draft. But my goal is to make that hardware base reliable enough affordably enough that people will get interest in their Apple III again and want to work with it again. And maybe start developing software for it again and have it be a really cool, fun platform that we can start to explore these cool sound options and the cool video options. And I don't know, what does anybody do with an old 8-bit computer? They make freaking video games for it. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
What I want to see. So,
like Glypha, maybe.
Ooh.
Run.
Yeah.
I'll colorize it. You go ahead and write the black and white version first, and then I'll colorize it.
All 16 colors. Yep. So yeah, that's
so then now we have the ROM, we have the keyboard chip.
Yep.
Okay. You got the main ROM and the video ROM you can do, and this one also. These three. And all of these special bipolar ones, which are 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can go to SideCam and show you these parts in this machine real quick. If I can get SideCam to work. Are you working SideCam? Hi.
No, because if you can do those, if all those bipolars you got done, that is an amazing benefit to the community.
Low power mode. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're watching something.
Cool. So what I wanted to show you is this is an Apple III with all of my custom chips in it. It works.
Nice.
All custom chips. I haven't done these two yet, but it'll work with those in it. And if I power it up, it'll work. Right? So it's just it's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, but you don't have the memory card in it, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting there. Just hang out for a minute. Just chill. Chill to the next episode. I need to get the W drive in there. Oh, I also wanted to talk about that too. That's another thing I want to start making is little adapter cables. So you can put, so you can connect Apple II drives to the Apple III, to make it easy. Option 8 used to make those, Charles Mangan, but he doesn't make them anymore. So I'd like to start making those. So there it is. Make sure my address isn't on screen. I got a lot of stuff over here. And we will turn this on and make sure I plugged everything in correctly, in the correct orientation and direction. And I'm not going to do the same thing I did to that guy's machine. No. Okay. Oh, I need to actually, plug the video in. Stand by. That's the thing I need to do. Where's my video cable? Down here somewhere. Here it is. So input. Worst demo ever.
Yeah.
So there you are. It's running with all my custom chips in it, and it just works.
Nice.
But it's a good thing, I think in Kansas Fest we're gonna hear more about the Apple III. I think it's a machine that doesn't have had any love, and it deserves. It's a good machine.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think the Apple III is an awesome platform. It has a lot of capability, and we just need to do the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just need to be able to do the thing. So
yeah, and
make Joe big. Yeah, I forgot to do the thing. Sorry.
These things, it's good because a lot of people say, why should I do anything for the Apple III if they don't work, they break, and all that? You're right. If you
they do. They are a reliability dumpster fire, but I'm trying to fix that. It's gone too long without love.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially having those chips. I can't. I mean, I'm just actually speechless on the chips availability. Yeah. Yeah. You have it as a cable like that. I have it as a box like actually this. That is a PCB. And that has the connection.
I saw this for sale. Somebody was selling those on the Apple III enthusiast forum, and I asked him. I'm like, why? It's got a chip in it and stuff. I'm like, it doesn't. This is like $2 of hardware. I'm not sure why all that other stuff is needed. I'm not bashing them. I mean, there could be a really good reason why it's designed that way. I just don't know why, because this just works. I've been using this for 3 years and it works perfectly fine. So I don't know. Yes. So anyway, that's my spiel about the Apple III. That's what I wanted to talk about tonight. I'm sorry for making it a Joe monologue night.
One of the other things I have too is that because of those dual memories, when I was watching Joe's videos on fixing them, he had the actually piggyback, which was this guy here, where you take 2 of the chips, you bend some pins around, you solder them together, you put some jumper wire connected into the other 2 slots, pinholes, and it works. But I just find this actually a lot of work, so then I came up with this guy.
Yep, the double RAM board.
Yeah, which is just a RAM board with 2 sockets on it. If you want to put sockets, you put the chips in, you put some headers on it, and it actually drops in, and it gives you the same thing.
That's a great way to replace those 4132, those weird 4132 chips, without having to go through the rigmarole of all that weird soldering.
Actually making these,
it's a lot easier. It's a cleaner solution. If you're wanting to preserve your 12-volt Apple II the way it was. Trying to find original 4132s that actually still work is impossible. Literally, like, I swear they were designed and only used in the Apple III.
But I've got these boards for actually two different chips, the 4116s and the 4160. What is it, 4164s? Yeah.
Yeah. So you can use either.
This is the 4164s here. And then I do have it for the 4116s also.
Yep. Are those designed in a way where they'll hang off the bottom side of the board so they won't interfere?
Yes, they like on this board here. They'll go down here. They'll go in like actually that.
Yeah. So they don't interfere because
right.
The 4132s are only used in the one row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes in like actually that, and it goes in all the sockets. Now it won't go in the other sockets. Well, yeah, it will. It will go in in these 2 rows.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we won't have that problem, because once I get this figured out, everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
and they'll never have to worry about old crappy RAM again.
Yeah, once you have that, I mean, that's a great addition also, to get rid of this massive thing where you can't find these chips, and it needs so many of them just to get the memory.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for you to populate this. What is it? I mean, 4 times 8, 32 chips.
Yeah, each at like $3 a piece.
If you can find them.
And of course, then if you're doing the 12-volt board, you then add another 16 chips.
Yep.
Because you got to do that doubling for that one row to make it work.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Trina. Are we putting you to sleep?
No. I'm seriously, I'm fine listening to Joe's monologue tonight.
It's age. I'm sorry, Trina. we should ask.
I couldn't think of anything else to talk about tonight. No, but
it's
seriously,
okay. I've been enjoying the whole let's visit jcm-1.com advertising.
Now, Joe, were you saying something about the W drive too? Are you going to be making them or not?
Oh, no, I won't be making the W drive.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just saying I use a W drive with my Apple III pretty much.
Because the actually EMU can also work with the 3 guys. Okay, so it doesn't have to be.
With the adapter, it just plugs right into it, and you can plug it on into the inside, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I will be Robert Justice has made the SOS HD boot ROM change or ROM update for the Apple III, which allows you to boot things like the compact flash for Apple II 3K, the CFFA 3000 on the Apple III. He changes that boot ROM so it'll boot off of those hard drive like devices. And with my update, with these new things, I can actually program those chips with that updated firmware and provide those to the community as well. So those will be available.
So when you're putting these up, because I just checked on your site and nothing there yet.
Come on,
that's because I've been wrist deep in poopy for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah. Okay. No, because I want to get my hands on some of them and test them out.
Yeah. I mean, on Thursday I got this in. So 1,000 of each. I'm gonna have plenty. Don't worry about it. So soon. But yeah, I want to fix them. The Apple III has to live. It must live. I demand it to be so.
You find it better buying your pieces, your small little cards like that, loose or on a sheet?
If I'm not having them assembled, loose is about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're having them assembled, you have to have them on a sheet so that they can run through the machine to be assembled.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, like my RAM Sims. I mean, my RAMs I've been getting on a sheet because it just makes it a lot simpler for me. You see.
Yeah.
But most of the other stuff, and some other things, I got on actually sheets because it just made it easier.
Yeah. In my case, because I have to hand assemble every one because I have to program the chip before sticking it on the substrate. I mean, it makes sense for them to be already be ripped apart because then I don't have to snap them myself because I'm a lazy whatever. When you consider the cost that they split them apart for you, or I have to pay myself to spend time to split them apart, and it washes out. You know,
and time is money.
Time so is money. Question: Do you recommend to put a fan into an Apple III?
That's a very good question. Where would you put it?
Yeah, it's tight,
RAM, isn't it?
It's tight.
Yeah, there's not a lot of space over the RAM board area because that's where it kind of slants down under the keyboard.
Okay, but Javier, show me the top of the case again. See, now this I can wake up for.
The case.
Oh, the case.
The case. The case, not the board.
The case is really heavy.
No, I want to see the top of the case. The actual top. Oh, there we go. Couldn't you cut a hole in the top?
No, you're not cutting holes in the case.
No, you're not cutting
holes. Well, first of all, because I don't want to. Second, this is metal. Well, no, this is plastic, actually.
Yeah.
But this is metal over here.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the top there.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't you cut like a hole and put like
it's almost like if we knew someone, Mark, who makes custom injection molded plastic that could make a fan
of a jig over here
for that.
Nobody uses this space for the drive.
Well, that's for the expansion cards. There.
Yeah, that's the expansion card space.
Yeah.
So while he has this on the screen, let's stare at it. So the far left is where the floppy drive is. And that's just completely filled up with a floppy drive. So there's really no place to put it in there. The space in the middle are where the expansion card goes. And if you're going to get some cool expansion cards from, places where you can get these cool expansion cards, you're going to be sticking stuff in there. So there's not a lot of room there. And then the space on the right is just filled up with power supply. Now, in theory, the space on the right has some room because the power supply is not the full height in that space. But, it is what it is. But when you put the bottom pan on that computer, there's no ventilation. There's no holes for the air to get into the machine.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a sealed. I mean, it's not airtight, obviously, but it's just a sealed unit. So you're not going to get a lot of airflow for it.
You got the back open. You see,
well, we could design something to be, pulling out air.
Yeah. Right.
Javier, look at my screen. Yeah. What do you see me holding? I never got to it yet. This is just a plain board.
Yeah.
That allows me that I can mount a fan anywhere I want here,
exactly, that's a great idea.
And then actually 3D print some sort of duct that will feed it out the back.
Push it out the back.
Correct.
And then this slides in.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Eric's joke because I find it funny.
And you have your power connectors. You got 5 volts and 12 volts here.
There you go.
You could put one of those side squirrel cage fans that they kind of put in like modern PC.
Exactly.
Just attach it there and
Or Joe, on your cards that you're making, if there is some space on the backside, you could possibly put a fan on it.
Yep.
That way, then you get both things done in one shot. I mean, because if your cards are gonna, like, if you've got the 2 actually Apple II cards in there, because it takes 2, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
If that movie with Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen is to be believed.
Then if you add anything else in there, it's gonna fill up. You see, so
yeah.
But I mean, I had this made a while back, but I never got back to it. But all this area is totally clear that you can drill and you can put in mounting holes and you can put in the fan.
Joe's shipping station. I like Thomas's solution not because it's about getting parts for me, but because this is my idea behind the solution: is to replace all these heat generators in your Apple III with things that don't generate heat. These things run room temperature.
Okay.
And the original chips in the Apple III run at like 60 degrees C.
Yeah,
You can't put your finger on.
these here
Those
get
there are
extremely
nuts.
hot. You can barely touch them when it's on.
Right? The same thing for the RAM board. The RAM board doesn't get super hot, but it still generates a bunch of heat. Well, if you put one of these in it, these are room temperature chips. They're all HC series parts, so they don't get hot.
I still think it's funny that you guys said 60 centigrade, and all the Canadians were just like, "Wow," and all the Americans were like, "How many is that in MILFs?"
Let me go grab a banana.
How many centigrade to the MILF is that? I don't know.
Let me go grab a banana so I can show you in scale.
I mean, if there was...
But yeah, so that's my spiel. And no Retro Techie, you can't see my shipping station. You saw it all day today. I was streaming all day with Dave. You had all day to see it. You lost your opportunity. Thoughts, questions? We had a couple questions previously.
And I saved them. Haha.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I had to do something because, Joe's monologue was keeping me awake.
I'm sorry. Did
Let
people
me make
spend more time and energy dev for Naboo or Apple III? Yeah, good question. I don't know. Are you talking about that's a question from What Bit Fever Dreams? I don't know if you're talking about at the time when they came out or whatever. I would say if I were to hazard a completely random guess, if you want to talk about energy, I would almost say the Naboo. The Naboo was actually like a fully formed product that made it out into the world and was relatively successful.
Yeah.
Its big thing wasn't that it was bad technology. It was that it was about 30 years ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Whereas the Apple III was just a freaking garbage fire.
Correct.
It was just the first. They shipped the pre-design unit as the final product, basically, without resolving the issues. So.
And then the second question was, is getting a pricey, unreliable, finicky, but desirable Apple III is the same experience for Apple II owners like the Color Classic is for Mac owners?
I think, to some extent, I think it can be.
Okay.
Yeah, because part of the fun, part of the fun is the chase. Can I get one? Where the Apple, I equate it more the Apple III more to be like the Lisa, because it was kind of in the same niche. It's of a similar reliability issues. Although the Lisa is more reliable than the Apple III. It's weird. There's no software for it. It's rare-ish, but everybody wants one because they want that grail, right? They're hunting for it.
And Eric's Edge had asked, are the ROM routines documented?
That's a very good question too. I don't know. I haven't dug into the software side of the Apple III that far. There is some level of documentation because there were third-party applications for the Apple III. But compared to the Apple II, the Apple III's documentation might as well be on the moon. It's not the Apple III. When you bought an Apple III, you didn't get a timing diagram. You didn't get a monitor listing. You didn't get a schematic. You didn't get any of that stuff with the machine. You had to buy one of the special developer kits to get that. So the only people who could afford to develop for the Apple III were the people who already had money in their pockets. Whereas the Apple II is anybody could roll right up to the computer and just start typing on it.
Yeah.
Get the manual that came with the computer out and just make the next big hit, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that it's not documented, it's that it wasn't as extensively documented or more specifically available to the everyday person.
Yeah.
So Retro Techie has a suggestion of combine the systems, make a Napple for
Napple.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Combine
Naboo
and
yeah,
Apple.
that sounds like a good idea.
Just get right on that.
Maybe
put that Apple III to go to Joe's. No.
This actually works.
Yeah, his works.
Don't jinx it.
But the difference between the Naboo and the Apple III, there's heat, there's fans.
Yeah. The Naboo is actually designed like it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And it does work.
It works, and it has
games
and programs already. Yeah.
And sound and color. And it works by just plugging it into a TV. Like that's the other thing too. Like the Apple III. This is just a weird aside. You can't get color video out of the Apple III by just plugging it into the port on the back.
No.
You have to have a special adapter dongle that goes into the RGB adapter. Not necessarily the one I have, but one that just breaks out the special signal to then plug it in. Or you had to have an RGB. Like it just the jack
and then 100 monitor.
It was stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. There's lots of little stupid things like that. But
it was very stupidly designed.
You know, with like that's the other thing too. Like here it is. You know, this is the other thing I make for the Apple III. You want an Apple III and you want color. Well, this will give you color video on your Apple III that nobody can have because there were no monitors made for the darn thing. You had to use an aftermarket monitor and wire it up yourself.
No, the M100.
The M100 works in the Apple III directly.
Directly.
Okay, the M100 does.
Yeah.
Okay. Which of course they cost like $1 million. So you know. But now you can plug in any old CGA monitor or you know a regular TV or an Apple II GS or an Amiga or a Commodore or an Atari monitor here and get video. So anyway, okay. All right. I'm done advertising all my awesome wares. Look for me, watch this space. Go to jcm-1.com because I'm doing everything I can to make the Apple III live again. That's what I'm trying to say. That's my soapbox for it.
Yeah.
I've tried to end it like 6 times, but people keep asking questions. So.
Well, there's 8 minutes left. What have the rest of you guys been up to?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Should I wake up now? Oh, I can talk.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Talk, Trina, talk. Come on.
What have I been up to? Work has been stupidly crazy. I had somebody bring me a Dell. Good thing I didn't stream it. It turned out it was just a bad power supply. So, you know.
So it was Dudette, you're getting a Dell. I got it.
Yeah. And I got the SSDs for both the Mac Minis that I graciously got for a really good price of $0. From Everything is Broken Garage. So thank you, Everything is Broken Garage. I got the SSDs put in those yesterday, as well as 2 of the Power Mac G4s. I got 2 of those 120s. I'm putting in those. So tomorrow, because I took kind of today off and did nothing, I'm going to be doing installations of OSs. Ooh.
Nice.
That sounds mind-numbingly awesome.
Yeah. It's kind of like set it up, do it.
Can Joe unbox a Naboo? No.
Pat the kitty. Hi. Say hi.
I don't think Joe is ever gonna unbox that.
The box is open, guys. It's open.
Never.
Ooh, it's open.
Gosh.
Never.
He just cut the tape. That's all. Nothing else.
Well, to be fair, he didn't say which box.
It does have that blue there. You can see the U on the Naboo symbol.
Yep.
I'm hanging on to my Naboo until the price goes way up, and then I'm going to sell mine. Oh, wait. I didn't buy one.
I still got the only one in Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling in 5 years, everybody will have a rusted box that is sitting in the corner, not doing anything, with the word Naboo on the front of it.
and it's probably been actually plundered for the keys, for the keyboard.
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
Forth.
Yep. And mice have settled into it. It's made a nice,
I think that people that are excited about that stuff will stick with it. And I know that our good friend of the channel, Sean from Geek with Social Skills, has been doing a lot with it. I know Chris has been doing a lot with it. I know that there's a lot of folks that are our friends that have been making big contributions on all that.
Right.
So I think that there is some longevity still for Naboo as a platform, but I do. I think that there are maybe people that are picking those up just in the hopes that it's like when I have time, I'm going to be able to finally play with it when because it's, as they say, it's like pioneers get the arrows, settlers get the land. And so I think we're kind of getting to a point where a lot of these pioneer days, it's like a lot of the work's been done So now it's just really nice where people can just pick them up and go, but you've got to have the time to do that. So I know that Sean had said that there's only maybe like 200 left or something like that, and then they'll start talking about selling maybe potentially some of the defective units or any kind of overstock items, extra bits and bobs, and then it's done. So if you do want to get involved, you probably should be thinking about Dave's vintage Apple Tech says that it's 200. So so if you have been on the fence about getting one, I think they're $99 now. They were $79 previously, so it's Yep. You should get one, even if you're just gonna sit on it for a bit. Don't poach and get them thinking you're gonna get a big payday later, because you may not. I mean, there may be X amount of interest in it.
But it'll be nice to see these where they're completely self-standing. That you don't need to rely on a connection or someone else's server to make it work. I mean, that would be better, because like if in 10 years the people that are running the servers decide, hey, I'm not doing it no more, then we have a brick.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You see, so I mean, who may not even be here 10 years from now, but it'll be nice to have it all in one, where you don't really need to connect to anything unless you want to.
Yeah, like a floppy EMU or something like that, a hard drive.
Yeah, well, something in it that will give you everything.
Yeah.
It would be cool.
What is flip flop?
It's one of the Naboo games, I guess.
Flip and flop or whatever. Yeah.
It's one of those shoes you wear at the beach.
Well, that's what I was thinking, and I'm like,
and occasionally, Trina, you blow one out when you step on a pop top, and you cut your heel, and you got to cruise on back home.
Oh.
But there's booze in the blender, and soon it will render that frozen concoction that helps.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
That's right. Oh boy.
What's going on with everybody else? Anybody else want to chime in before we shut down this crazy?
I've been doing a bunch of stuff. Look at my
stream.
I've been doing a bunch of stuff. Look at my Twitters.
You've been doing a lot of shorts.
I've been doing a lot of stuff.
I spent a lot of money on something.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, his prototype Duo.
Dude.
That's way cool.
It is.
Yeah. It's way cool.
Been looking for it for years. Finally
Javier said he's going to send it to me. I'm going to do some super high resolution 3D scanning.
I've been touching it. Yep.
Yeah, I'm ready to see that case printed where we can make our own.
Yep.
How many of those exist in the world there, Javier?
They say 3, but I think it's like 5.
According to the post-it note on the bottom.
It has an official certificate of authenticity.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually have one. Yep.
From the National Mint, no less.
That's right.
Gosh. If it's anything like the value of my Star Trek collector plates, it's only going to go up with time.
At least we'll always have Tom Paris.
The good news is that I just fixed it, so it works.
You got it working now?
Yep.
Nice.
Both of them or just one?
Both work. One doesn't eject.
Okay.
But that's it. They work. I'm happy.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we're done for the night. Again, thank you all for hanging out with me tonight and these other people who listen to me ramble on like a crazed madman for an hour and a half about a subject that nobody cares about but me, apparently. But that's okay.
I care about it because I'm going to Kansas Fest, baby.
Hell yeah. We're going to all be at Kansas Fest, right? Trini, you're coming to Kansas Fest?
No.
You're evil and you're banned.
Well, the problem is her visa only allows her to go so far south. After that, it's
they
like if you're not a day walker, you can't make
200
it.
meters.
Yeah,
and then I'll be kicked out because I'm illegal and
her ankle monitor. If she gets more than 100 miles from a can of the tire, she goes back to jail.
Exactly. There's no maple syrup around, so.
But Kansas Fest is going to be cool. You're going to see a lot of cool Apple III stuff this year. Yeah. You're going to get to see a lot of the Apple community celebrities that always show up and hang out and do stuff. So if you can make it to Kansas Fest, please make it to Kansas Fest. You'll get to meet me and Ron
Bring
and
all
Javier
the things you need retrobrided. Bring all the things you need retrobrided.
because Javier likes to hang out back of Corn Hall
Get
all week long and do nothing but cause cancer in his fingers from too much hydrogen peroxide. So it's going to be cool. So that's been Retro Repair Roundup for tonight. Thank you all for stopping by and again putting up with me and my craziness and those of our awesome fans. Our hosts tonight were Javier and Trina and Ron and our guest Will. Thank you all for being on the show tonight. I'm thanking you for being on the show.
Thanks for coming, Will.
Yeah, Will, thank you. Thank you for the invite and having me here.
And thank you for your extra input on the Apple III tonight. That was super awesome. Thank you, everybody in the chat who stopped by to ask us questions about the Apple IIIs and all of that stuff. Javier, where can people find you?
Adventures of Retro Computing. So YouTube/Habmaster. Habmaster at BigBang.social. Habmaster. I can read it, but anyway, it's over here.
Yes. Buttons.
And then go to 8-Bit Tees. You can get the latest Kansas Fest official T-shirts and a lot of other goodies.
Oh, yeah.
Trina,
where can people find me? Here on the YouTubes, Trina's Technobabble. You can also find me on Twitter at TechnobabbleT. And you can also, if you want to support my channel, go to coffee.com, I think it is.
Yep.
I mean, it's just money. It's just money you're going to collect. I mean, why know the URL?
Just go to coffee, KOFI, that is, .com.
Go to Tim Hortons, purchase Trina a coffee.
Or get me a coffee card. No, go to coffee, and it's at Trina's Technobabble.
Yep.
You can support me through that.
And don't forget, Trina is going to be taking over the stream on the 18th of June with an all-ladies stream with a lot of really, really cool people, some of which she has said publicly will be on, and some of which will be a surprise. So you make sure.
My question is this. It's a ladies stream. Does that mean all ladies? Do I need to let my mom know? How does she even get on? Is she going to take an invite?
Listen, if your mom wants to come on, she is more than welcome.
Okay. I'll let her know.
All 4 billion ladies on planet Earth are invited.
Yeah, I was going to say 50% of the population show up.
We did suggest too that we could put Joe in a black slinky dress, shave his beard, put a little blonde wig on him, a little makeup.
So far, but
no. O'Brien does not approve.
Oh, and just as a side note, there will be one non-binary person appearing as well. So
okay, cool beans.
Not all female, but
all good.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome sauce. Ron,
a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot.
Of fun.
Oh yeah.
When's your show, Trina?
It's the 18th of June.
Yeah, I was going to say because the 18th of June is when my show is being, and it's ran by Al Bundy. It's called No Ma'am, and it will be strictly a night of hairy dangly things. And
is that on your OnlyFans page?
It is.
Okay.
So it's it won't be that great. No.
Is there any
I'm really excited. I'm really excited for your show, Trina. So I'm excited to see the guest list. I'm excited to sit in the crowd for a week and cheer everybody on. So I think that'll be a really great show. Make sure you tune in. But you can find me at ronscompvids.com. You can also follow me on the Bird site. I'm also on Mastodon. If anybody wants to send me an invite to Jack Dorsey's new hellhole, you're welcome to do so. I'm sure I can stink that place up just like everywhere else, but there's been a couple of projects and things like that I've been working on. Make sure to go to my URL. I put out some 3D models this week, some little fun things. There's a bunch of new items that I've added to my online store, including some items because I have feedback is a gift. Feedback is a gift, as I often say. And I've gotten some feedback from ladies that have said that there's maybe not necessarily a lot of things in your online store, stuff that maybe doesn't specifically cater to me. And so what I've done is I've actually put like some tights out there, or I don't know what they call them, but they're basically they're cut and sew pants for women, or men if you want. I'm not your dad. You can wear whatever you want.
Yeah,
But
what are cut and sew pants?
Cut and sew are they're like yoga pants, but the idea of it is how they're printed.
Oh, okay.
So the like you would think like traditional like yoga pants or something like that, they would put it on a like a model, and then they would just print directly on the completed garment.
Okay.
Cut and sew is where they will print a sheet, and they basically like they have a pattern, they overlay, and then they cut, and then they put it together. So things don't match up 100%, but that's maybe part of the charm of those garments.
So one thing I can ask, since I have you, for those of us who
not biblically, but sure.
Skinny
jeans. Yeah, we want to see skinny jeans. Yeah.
I want
to skinny jeans. Yeah.
I want to see individual veins, Joe. Come on, let's make it happen.
Just make sure there are no actually funny patterns at actually specific locations on those pants.
No, there's actually not, and that's part of it. It's just taking feedback, because the talking with Kate, she actually helped me where it was kind of like, we'll do this and tweak this and do this stuff. And so anyway, there are several different versions of my too many toasters, or like so many toasters. It's just my product. Why even know the name of it? But it's basically it's sort of a Greeked up version of the toaster computer, the one.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of different options. There's different things. There's shoes, there's socks, there's all kinds of stuff. So just go check it out.
Just one thing I could recommend for those of us who can't wear yoga pants to work, but can wear sweatpants to work. Make a pair.
That's not an option. It's not an option.
Yeah, I know it's not an option.
Threadless. Yeah, it's not an option through threadless.
I'm trying to use scrubs, actually.
Yeah. Scrubs would be really great, because I would absolutely wear scrubs.
Scrubs would be amazing, because I work in a hospital, so I could totally get away with wearing those.
Nurse, and you're like, I work in tech.
So I think Spoonflower, which is, I'm getting ready to maybe to tip the hat here. Spoonflower, I'm actually going to start publishing my patterns and stuff like that over there. All the patterns that I do, they're either drawn by myself or by the super amazingly talented Jamie Hitchcock, who does a lot of art and things like that for Mystery Science Theater. She is just such an amazing artist. So I go with her. Like I'll prototype an idea, I'll pitch something, and then I'll have her turn it into something that's maybe a little more marketable and refined. So I've been partnered with Jamie for years and years and years, and she does such amazing stuff. I cannot say enough good stuff about her. But I'm going to be working with her to move some of her patterns over, or some of the patterns that she's done for me. I profit share with her on pretty much anything that I make. So yeah, it's so Spoonflower. What I was getting on about, Spoonflower is basically a way for you to just make fabric. And so the idea would be that any of my patterns, you could buy them through an official place that would respect the creators and things like that from those patterns, and make sure that they are compensated for their talents. And then you can get a bolt of fabric that you can take to a friend and turn into anything you want.
I'm not saying anything.
Cool.
That's okay. Joe, you'll get plenty of that later.
Yep.
I'm home alone, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it's wait till those burglars show up.
Moving on, Will, where can people find you?
Anyway, okay. Yes, I can be found on YouTube, CayMac Vintage, and then also on Twitter, CayMac Vintage, and on my coffee site, which is also ko-fi.com/CayMac Vintage. There is also my shop with a bunch of different things in it that I have available now. Some things unique that some other places don't have, and so forth. But yeah, I mean, some other things coming soon are going to be some more RAM, and some RAM that blink based on the actually read and write signal.
Blink.
Anybody who didn't see the stream today on Dave's stream, he was showing it off. The RAM is blinky and pretty.
Nice. Awesome. I'll have to go back and watch.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. And then I also have like the ROM actually programmers, ROM sims coming, and all sorts of different things. So anyway, a lot of stuff is coming, but I mean, the one that Joe was talking about with the RAM is right there. You can see.
Nice.
And
I
it's based
like
off of the actually read and write signal. Believe it or not, each one of those RAM sims has an actually AT Tiny on it.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I mean, so those are the places you can find me. I'm not on too many other social places, so just YouTube, Twitter, and the coffee site. Okay.
I'm looking for the coffee site to give people a link, but I'm not finding it. So.
Yeah, ko-fi.com/CayMac Vintage, and then you can find it. I don't have the new RAM on there yet, but I will put it on there. Jeremy's asking a web link if you can put it.
I found it.
Okay. All right. I don't have the new RAM on there yet because I need to make them, and I'm going up to Florida the 31st, so I'll leave them up there, and then from there they can get shipped out.
In my house.
But by the way, I also have a coffee link, Joe.
Yeah. Okay. Put up Ashley Trina's also, please.
And I'm showing mine over here.
Yeah. So and I'm hoping to make it to actually Midwest. So let's see.
Hey,
if I can make
that's
it there.
awesome, Will. That would be great.
So I'm gonna try to make it. I can't make a Kansas Fest, but I'm gonna try for actually Midwest.
That'll be awesome.
So it shouldn't be too bad of a flight for me.
Cool.
And there is Trina's.
Thank you.
Goodie.
So, but anyway, thanks everyone for allowing me here. Y'all, Joe, Trina, Jav, Halfmaster, Ron, all of you, and the guests. Thank you.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And
I don't have any shirts anywhere, any stickers yet. Anyway, but
just go to 8BTs. Don't worry about it.
Nah. I leave that for y'all to do.
Oh, and Sean, by the way, I would like to see Joe both in skinny jeans and in a dress.
Oh my God!
Or Trina, maybe both at the same time.
Guys, all you.
All right, Trina, this is getting too much now. No.
Okay, finally
moving on.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joe Snyder. I'm the host or runner or whatever you want to say of this silly little stream. You can find me on YouTube, on here, and on a lot of other people's streams, and occasionally on my own channel at Joe's Computer Museum. You can follow me on the Mastodon at Museum Joe at oldblades.space. You can find me on the garbage fire of a website, Twitter at Museum Joe. If you want to support me and my endeavors and you think what I do is cool, you can go to patreon.com/Joe's Computer Museum, as shown right down there. And for as little as $1 a month, you get cool things like access to the Discord server, which is really the biggest thing that you get, because you get to talk to me directly as I'm developing these things, and I show you pictures of it. I tell you what I'm doing before the rest of the world. So you get to have a lot of input and say in what I'm doing. And finally, you can find me and a lot of my cool little trinkets that I'm doing at jcm-1.com, which I have a bunch of cool stuff for the Apple III, the Apple III Universal RGB encoder. I'm going to be having replacement RAM boards soon, replacement keyboard encoders, replacement ROM chips, and the pièce de la résistance, or however that's said in French, the Titan 2 set that turns your Apple III into a full Apple IIe, coming very, very, very soon.
Nice.
Viva la Apple III. And that is
nice.
So the one that asked about my actually web store, it is on the Ko-fi. It's on the coffee site. I'm using them as my shop for now.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's that one right there. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, that's it for Retro Repair Roundup number 33. Thank you for everybody for stopping by. Thank you to all our guests and hosts for doing a great job tonight, and for putting up with me in my crazy Apple III shenanigans. We'll see us in 2 weeks on, I believe that would be the 4th of June.
It is the 4th of June.
Yes, the 4th of June, in
the
which we
first
have
Sunday in June.
Yes, the first Sunday in June. We have
then after that, the third Sunday in June.
First and third Sundays of, and unless we're not feeling well, in which we call off, but that doesn't happen very often.
But it doesn't matter, because you can call off sick on the 18th because you won't be on it.
Yes,
that is correct.
While you're here, remember to lasso that like button or spear that subscribe button, and we will see you all on the next episode. Bye, everybody.